Hey y'all, I'm Austin, and this is Sad Boys Anime. I can't watch Wandering Witch: The Journey of Elaina anymore. I really wanted to like this show. It was on my best of fall 2020 list because I saw potential in it. I seriously regret that I put this show in the video. Not only did it not deliver on the world building and storytelling, but the third episode showed us that it's not the fun, magical journey that I wanted it to be. This would have been fine if they didn't throw in slavery, abuse, pedophilia, implied molestation, and suicide, and then just say, well, this is how it goes and you can't do anything about it. I just want to warn y'all that I will be elaborating on all of these topics and really taking a look at the episode to explain what it is that's so dangerous about the message they're spreading. If you need to click off this video, go ahead and do that, and just know that this show is not something you should watch. With that, let's get started. For anyone who hasn't seen this episode, let me break it down into two parts. Part 1 is the flower story, and part 2 is the slavery story. Both of these have their issues, so stick with me through this a little bit and we'll talk about what those are. Okay, so the flower story is basically Elaina rolls up to this girl in the middle of this big ass field of flowers and is like, hey. The girl's like, isn't it beautiful? You should take these flowers over to that town for me. Elaina is like, alright, cool. I'm gonna trust this girl I just fucking met who is creepily hanging out in this field. I'm not even gonna ask her why she can't just take them there herself. Elaina not asking questions is a recurring problem in this episode. She's a very trusting person for having been stolen from, lied to, and rejected so many times. Quite frankly, it's already unrealistic just on that alone. Anyway, so the flowers are poisonous and they're meant to draw people out to the fields to feed the plant monster. This kid ends up going out there because he realizes it's where his missing sister is, and they both end up dying and turned into plant zombies. You see more of these zombies all rise and head toward the town, and we don't see what happens because God forbid we actually see anything happen in this show. Elaina goes back and sees the brother dying in the grasps of the monster that took his sister. Even after watching him die, she doesn't have a moment of clarity like, oh shit, I shouldn't have trusted the girl and maybe he would have been safe. Instead, Elaina just moves on. She comes across a boy who's storing happiness in a big jar. He wants to show the happiness to a girl he likes who he said has been feeling sad to make her feel better. You're like, aw, how sweet. Nah bitch, the girl he likes is literally a slave in his house. He's the son of a rich village chief. The chief bought the girl because he thought she was pretty and that she would grow up to be beautiful. Let me say that again. This old ass man bought a literal child to be a slave so he can have sex with her and make her do the housework because his wife died. He even complains about how expensive she was. He's really checking all the boxes here, y'all. He looks Elaina up and down in a way that just made me feel so uncomfortable. He's a pedophile and you know that he touches that girl. It's disgusting. And you know what Elaina does? Nothing. She asks him about where she came from and she asks him if the son knows. His response is, yeah, he knows, but he doesn't care that she's a slave. She isn't asking the right questions here. It just makes me so angry. I want y'all to think about this quote as we get deeper into it. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Complacency kills. Being a bystander kills. This show isn't even showing us the bystander effect, which is a psychological explanation for why one may not intervene. The most commonly shared example of this is Kitty Genovese, who was murdered with about 40 witnesses who could have done something about it. I know this story isn't a perfect example because it has been shared so much that there are a lot of inaccuracies with how it actually happened, but it is the most well known. Everyone is taught that if you see something bad happening, that you should do something to help in whatever way you can. Sometimes you're afraid, or you think that someone else has already helped, so you don't do anything. And this, like I said, is a psychological reaction, but at least you had a thought process about it. Elaina does nothing. She's by herself. She's the only one who could do something about this situation. She has no reason to be afraid of the chief, and yet she decides to leave. She even actively encourages the boy to give the girl the present, knowing that it was a really gross dynamic. The girl can't say no because she'll be punished if she does. She doesn't even want to accept the present because she's afraid of what the chief will do to her for taking it. When he orders her to accept it, she still looks so uncomfortable and scared. But she knows she can't do anything about it. Elaina could have killed the chief if she wanted to. She points her wand at him and looks like she might, but then just fixes the pot. What would he have been able to do about it? Stop her? We've seen her magic abilities. There's no way he would have been able to. And the face he makes shows it. He was afraid for a moment there. She could have threatened him or told him to let the girl go. She didn't even have to kill the chief, that's not what I'm saying. I just wanted to see some kind of effort. Listen, I get that she's supposedly unsure of what to do and feels like it's not her place. But say something. Do something. You're a witch. They can't stop you. I know she's basically a child, but she's 18 or 19 at this point, and she's on her own. Even when she was younger, she was better than everyone around her in terms of her skill level and drive to succeed. She has been traveling the world and learning new things. She knows how to handle herself and her magic, so there's no reason she couldn't have done something. Maybe I would have acknowledged this as good commentary about not knowing what to do if they had Elaina struggling with the issue. Have her regret not doing anything. Have her try and check up on the girl. You can have her say, "I didn't know what to do." Just that one single line would have changed my whole perspective. People are saying on Twitter that this is how the light novel is, and we should have expected it. But that doesn't make it okay. It's not that I didn't expect it to be this way. In fact, I love a good plot twist. This is why so many people love Madoka Magica. But this isn't a plot twist, it's just bad character writing. She doesn't learn anything from this, and the story was pointless. The whole thing is being told from a future Elaina. This shows us that she didn't ever go back to check on the girl. Her last lines were, "I don't know what happened to her, and I don't want to know." She cares more about this girl who stole her shit and lied to her than this girl who is literally a slave and is clearly abused regularly. She left the girl in an abusive situation and knows that it is very likely that she would commit suicide. Not only does she just leave, she also says that she doesn't want to know what happened to her. She knows that no matter what, it would be bad. She is fully aware of this, but shows absolutely no remorse for it. Slavery went on for so long because not enough people were able to push for a change. Not enough people were willing to fight the system. The enslaved people were killed for trying to fight it, and they needed the help of those who had power to start making those changes possible. Systematic injustices continue to go on to this day because not only have not enough people acknowledged that they exist, but among those that do, many want to keep it in place. Only as of a few months ago with the killing of George Floyd do we start seeing actual changes to the system, and not without huge amounts of protests and media coverage. It's not nearly enough, and there's still much more work to be done. We need to keep pushing and keep fighting for change. I am a white person, and all of my knowledge of this comes from things I've been taught. There are many POC people out there who can share their own experiences and elaborate on these issues far better than I can. The only reason I'm bringing it up at all is because this show is using slavery as a plot device to try and evoke an emotional response, but it's done horribly. Shows like this are telling you that even though fucked up things happen in the world, you shouldn't make a fuss and stop trying to change things because it won't make a difference anyway. This message is dangerous, and it's how the people in power stay in power. If things feel hopeless, less people will want to fight for a change. You should always fight injustice. You should always stand up for what you believe in. This is something I firmly advocate for, especially as a bisexual man. I have rights today because people came together and made a change. I can marry who I want to marry, and I have some rights to have a job despite my sexuality. Again, I need to point out nothing is perfect, and there is still much more work to be done for LGBTQ+ rights. I'm not saying that you have to be out there on the front lines protesting if that's something you don't feel safe doing. You can spread awareness, you can donate, you can call and email your representatives. There are always ways to support the causes going on. Okay, let me go back to the first part of the episode again, where she leaves the siblings to die. Because I know people are going to use this as proof that she's not a good person or something like that. I get that she's not supposed to be I'm going to save everyone and I'm a good person type of character. But you can be a decent person. Clearly she cares enough about people that she wanted to help the girl with her magic lessons in episode 2. These self-discovery type shows are usually having these kids going on a journey and helping people while they develop their morals and learn how to be good people. They may struggle and mess up, but they learn from their mistakes. Elaina doesn't learn. She doesn't grow. There's no development. She just kind of goes from town to town, but we don't even see the town she's in very much. They're just stage set to stage set. The first episode got me interested, and I wanted to see more of the world, but so far, nothing has been explained and nothing unique has been shown. What's the point of the journey if nothing interesting is happening and your characters aren't being developed? With the flower story, I thought we were going to see her try and destroy the flower, or warn the townsfolk of what's going on out in the fields at least. But no, the story just ends and she leaves. It just feels like they forgot to conclude it. The way this is being told just bothers me on so many levels. Twice in an episode, Elaina just leaves people to die. They haven't even explained to us the extents of the magic, so there are essentially limitless possibilities to what she can do. And yet, she doesn't care. Again, if this was the point of the story and she was supposed to be a villain, this might have been exciting. I love a villainous protagonist, but she's not a villain. She's just a normal girl who has no morals, apparently. Some of the last words she said to the girl were, "In these situations, you should say thank you." It's framed to be a positive thing, and she's thankful for not having to apologize. But can you imagine seeing this magic and knowing that she's really powerful and she could help you leave the situation? In the moment, you're happy because she's not making you apologize. But then later, you realize she basically just said, "Thank those who are fixing your mistakes," and then left, never to be seen again, leaving you in the house with your abusers. This is so fucked up. When the boy unleashes the happiness in the jar, the girl sees all the places and things in the world she will never get to experience. This kid has no idea the effect it had on her. He doesn't mind watching her being abused. To him, it's business as usual. This shows us that the father hits her regularly. This is just what the characters are willing to show with company, so it's implied that much worse happens behind closed doors. Elaina even tells them, in the presence of the girl, that she would return. In the closing monologue, we see that this was a lie, and she never did return. It's implied heavily that the girl likely killed herself because of this. Elaina said, just because you are doing something for someone else doesn't make it right. This is true for situations like planning your friend's wedding so they won't be so stressed, but you end up running yourself into the ground instead. Not things like slavery, pedophilia, and abuse. Overall, episode 3 was the last straw for me, and I hope y'all can understand why. The point I'm getting from this show's writing is that you can't change things, and you gotta just go about your life and only focus on yourself. This is an incredibly dangerous thought process, and I'm really angry that this is the direction they decided to go. They could have either made this a cute, lighthearted coming-of-age story, or they could have had it go through these darker themes and actually have good commentary on it. Maybe you think I'm reading too far into this, but These are the vibes I got, and I stand by what I say. It's just not something I can justify continuing to watch. Did any of y'all see these episodes? Have you read the light novel? Does anyone else feel the same way I do about this show? Let me know down in the comments. I post weekly on Mondays, so look forward to more content next week. As always, like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Happy Halloween.